Hi guys, so welcome to Bonegilla Immigration Centre, tourist historical site. That's the best way I can describe it. This is something very different in this video. We're going to be checking out this historical migrant centre that was used from the 1940s, the end of 1940s. Well, actually, it was a military base first, but from 1940s right the way through to the late 1970s. So stay tuned as we explore this amazing historical site.
Thanks for joining Kevin the Caravan, Dougie the dog, and myself as we travel around Australia. We love sharing our travel adventures, the great silo art, the great pub meals, and the great free camping and much more. So as we drive up the driveway, I just want to give you a little bit of background. So this place started life as an army barracks in 1940, and it was all built out of timber, and then in 1949 through to 1974 it became the Migrant Centre and included famous people like Dr. Carl and even Eric Banner's family.
So this migrant centre, historical site, appears to be dog friendly, which is good, so we can take Dougie in and through, and we'll check it out.
So admission to the centre is very cheap. So the centre and its experiences is open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m, guys, except for Good Friday, Easter, Christmas Day, those kind of things. So our first stop in this amazing tour is to go in and check out the interactive display, which has old newsreels, all sorts of old information about the time, about the facility, and lots of stuff. So I'm going to let it play through and you guys can just listen to bits and pieces of the display.
Fact that Australians have generally a negative attitude to non-English speaking migrants. In fact, they didn't know very much about them at all. The few that were here before the war were either called Dagos or refs, and not in a very friendly way.
Newspapers all over the nation leveled violent criticism of the low standard of living to which these new Australians were accustomed. Simple, everyday commodities were foreign to them, and most of the press echoed the word.
Their face and your face with our destiny in this land so far from Europe, but so important a part of the British Commonwealth of Nations.
Well, that history and audio was really, really amazing. Well, I only showed you a few tidbits. It's interesting how people's mindsets have changed and how government policies have changed. But we're heading out now to check out some other stuff.
Some of the buildings, there's not much left of that. I wonder whether that was some sort of a shower. Yep, that looks like toilets, that looks like a urinal. And this is where they were learning to speak English.
So this was really fascinating because as they came through the centre, the idea was to get them jobs, labouring jobs, all sorts of different jobs. And some people were only here for a couple of weeks, but other people were here for months, which did actually lead to riots in the 1950s and again in 1962.
You can check out the original accommodation huts.
Wow, so it looks like they had families all mixed together in these one big dormitory style rooms with no privacy. I understand why they weren't happy.
So they were given one army type bed, one mattress, 5 blankets, 3 sheets, 2 pillow slips, 1 pillow, 2 towels, 2 cups and saucers, 2 soup, dinner and small plates, knives, forks, soup spoon, dessert spoon, that. Each cubicle had a table, chair, teapot and basin. Very basic. So, according to the sign, 20 people would sleep in here. There was no separation, no partitioning for the men and women, the singles. They were all just piled in here together. It's pretty rough, but I think it was meant to only be temporary. This is the modified accommodation that they went to later on, where they've got different huts, all small accommodation. So this was set up for a family by the looks of it. In the main house. Way better than having 20 people in the one room. Still not very fancy.
Something I found really interesting about this migrant centre was, with all the migrants, they housed 50 different countries. So they were all displaced from the Second World War, and they were all just put together. Whether they spoke German, whether they spoke Spanish, whether they came from Croatia, they were all just lumped together and encouraged to learn English. That would have been a very interesting time in Australians' history.
So all the welcome mats in the different languages changing to welcome. That's very cool. So that's really cool that Block 19 was the only one with actual proper connection to the sewerage, and everything else was pit toilets for all the other blocks. Now we're going to head on and continue to look around some of the others.
So as I previously mentioned, Bonegilla began its life as a Second World War army camp. That's why they're all in nice neat rows. So they're rows of what was called P-series army huts. So guys, I mentioned earlier in the video about the riot. So the first riot happened in 1952 here, and it became known as the Spaghetti Riot, and that was more to do with the fact that they dumped all these cans of spaghetti at the camp director's door. But the big issue and what they were angry about was in relation to, they were promised jobs, but weeks went past, they didn't get jobs, leading to unrest. The style of army food that they were being given, because they were basically just being given army rations. They weren't allowed to cook in their own huts, but they did so anyway, because the migrants were very sneaky in that regard. Even cooking on the tops of irons. for ironing your clothes. So according to what I was reading, the migrants actually literally described the food here as having mutton every day, square white bread that was like cardboard, and coffee made from bottle essence. Now, I can't think of anything worse.
So that's their menu. Now guys, if you've been here and checked out a lot of this stuff, let me know in the comments below, because there's some really interesting stuff here. So these are all the registration cards of all the people that arrived in the centre. They had an ID card. This is really amazing. 300,000 migrants came through this place.
Northeastern Italy,
So
close to the Austrian Slovenian border. The city.
oh, I like this. So this is boring Bonegilla, or Bonegilla, depending on how you pronounce it. Obviously wasn't the most exciting place to spend a long time. Alright guys, so this is what the original centre looked like. Of all the different blocks in here, it's only block 19 that's still standing today. All the other ones are long gone, apart from a few bits and pieces like water towers and the railway sidings. Well guys, while this is absolutely an amazing place to visit and well worth the $8, $7 to get in per person, I'm not going to show you all the different huts and all the different rooms. You guys can come out, check it out, watch the videos and see all the amazing stuff they have out here
For yourselves.
If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't hesitate to put comments in the comment box. And if you see me or Dougie, come and give Dougie a pat. He loves having pats. And we'll catch you in our next episode.
So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you to all my subscribers. And bye for now.